Hey, what I want to do in this quick series of lectures is try to give a little bit of the thinking that's going on, I think, in Bob Weir's playing. Lots of people who are interested in the Dead, naturally, turn to Garcia and his amazing guitar work, but Bob Weir is an incredible guitarist as well, and you can learn an awful lot about music, and it's a great way of learning theory and understanding the neck, and also improving your ear by trying to understand what he's doing. It's very difficult, though, for various reasons, including the bizarre chord shapes he uses, the fact that very often he's turned down in the mix and it's hard to hear him, and then his playing style has evolved so much over the years. I'm interested in the area, basically the 70s, by which I really mean late 60s into early 80s, before he really started relying heavily on a lot of distortion and using the whammy bar. So I'm just going to put together some thoughts about how to approach things from the Bobby perspective. There are great sites out there that give excellent tabs on particular songs and chart out Bobby's particular passages and progressions, but there isn't, as far as I've been able to tell, much about, in general, what Bobby's up to. So that's the task of these couple of videos I'm going to put together. So I'm going to start with just very basic theory and build from there. Let's focus on major chords and think about how in a major chord, the chord is built off of 3 notes: the 1, the 3, and the 5. When it comes to an E chord, your 1 would be your E, your 3 would be the G sharp, and the 5 would be the B. Alright, let's see what we got here. E, G sharp, B, E. Let's do an E using just the 1, the 3, and the 1. Now if we add the 3 up to the 4, we get a little suspension. That should sound familiar from Jack Straw, or Looks Like Rain, or Black-Throated Wind. Let's look at another way of doing an E. Here's a plain old E. 1, the 5, the 1 again. Here's our 3, the G sharp, and the B, the 5. Basic, not very exciting, especially if you're, say, doing a song like the other one, where you're moving back between the E and the D. You don't want to do that for 20 minutes. So here's our E. Let's just shuffle it by having that little barred section and having the low note be, instead of the E, make it the 3. Make it the G sharp. And that's a shape Bobby uses often. Jack Straw, he does it on the D and also on the E. Now we can continue with this idea of looking for the 1, the 3, and the 5. Take this inverted version, add the B, and get this extra flavored or colored version of E. So notice what we've got so far. We've got plain old, and we've got this version, and we've got this version, and we've got that version. That's a lot, very easily, to give you to work with. We could do it all over the place. But think about, and what applies for these major chords applies for minor chords, applies for 7ths. Think about ways to combine the essential notes, the 1, the 3, and the 5, or the 7, or the flat 7, whatever the chord case may be, or the flat 3. Ways to combine them in ways that give you chords with different color, different feel or flavor. Using the 1 and the 5 and the 1, or the 1 and the 3, or the 1, the 5, and the 1, or the full thing, the 1, 3, and the 5, with an extra lower 3. One way to do it is call up one of those programs that, say, puts the E major scale up on a screen. You can get it online. Every scale, put the major scale up on there. Notice all the places there's an E. Notice all the corresponding 3s and 5s, and just play around with the different shapes. Finding different shapes and different voicings, that'll give you more stuff to work with, more ideas, more ways to vary what you're doing. And it's also a great way to really learn the fretboard, is by finding out all these different places you can articulate an E chord. Let me run through an example of Dark Star, show you another way in which Bobby does this. Alright, so basic riff, Bobby's part, the way it starts off. So let's just think about what's going on there. We've got basically the start of an A shape that he adds that extra note to make it sort of a partial A7. Then, now what's this? Well, it's G and the major third. So it's the 1 and the 3 of the G chord. Then he goes to the 1 and the 5 of the G chord. So G and the D. And then how does it end? You go from that to that. Now what's that? Well, it's F sharp, and D. Well, D and F sharp would be the 1 and the 3 of the D chord. In this case, he's putting the F sharp as the lower one. So instead of having the 1 and the 3 of the D chord be this, he plays it with the F sharp lower. So this is a way of getting D into the story, which is what you'd expect because the song Dark Star is largely A mixolydian, which means it's got all the notes of the D major scale. So here's a way of getting the D chord in there, but without the full D chord. So again, notice the different feel that you can get. Really, I think what's going on here in general, and that's the goal of this, is just some general lessons. He's approaching playing the guitar like a jazz musician who's engaging in comping. Now, listen to bebop music where you've got a horn doing an extended ongoing line, kind of like Garcia soloing. The other instruments, be it a piano player or a guitarist, they don't want to get in the way. They don't want to step on the toes and be duplicating the sounds that the horn player is playing. So they play partial chords. They play pieces. And Bobby actually talks about that, finding places on the neck to stay out of other people's way, avoiding what Phil's doing, avoiding what Jerry's doing. That's why Bobby for a while often was playing very high up on the register to avoid muddying the waters by duplicating notes that Phil would be playing or Jerry would be playing when they were in the middle of the neck. So this idea of comping partial chords, I think, is really what's driving his thinking, and then this command of the fretboard and this ability to think about which different kinds of combinations of the key elements of a chord will lend the particular flavor or color that he's looking for in a given passage or in a given section, which is part of his genius, is to be able to tell based on what Garcia's doing and Lesh is doing what's needed in a given case.